In this video, I'm going to show you how the top 1% of entrepreneurs act, think, and operate that separates them from the rest of the pack. When you understand what the best entrepreneurs do, how they think strategically, how they handle problems, and how they approach business and life in general, well, you'll start to see the patterns and commonalities and traits that happen just too frequently to be a coincidence. This is because success leaves clues, and once you recognize and understand these clues, your life will never be the same, in the best way possible. So let's get to it. I was sitting reading the other day and I came across a section in the book talking about the real keys to success. And it made me wonder, what is it about the top 1% of entrepreneurs that separates them from the rest of the pack? Because you see, I've been obsessed with the science of success and the art of achievement ever since I was a young kid. At first, I just wanted to play baseball better, so I would practice the art of visualization to help me throw strikes. In high school, I needed to get better grades so that I could graduate and actually get into the college that I wanted. So I practiced memory techniques as well as the art and science of persuasion and influence, also known as begging and pleading. Once out into the real world, I was presented with the rare opportunity to work directly with a number of billionaires and their families. And so I got to practice the art of modeling. No, not that kind of modeling. Essentially watching and listening, learning, and copying everything that I could. And this was the moment that changed everything for me. This is because great entrepreneurs, like great marketers or great artists, great anything really, well, rarely are they born that way. Which means if you study them and then apply what they do, you can give yourself the highest likelihood of success. So in this video, I want to share with you what I learned about how the top 1% act and think and operate to give you that exact same opportunity that I had all those years ago. So with all that said, let's start with the number one thing that all top performing entrepreneurs have in common, and that is a growth mindset. A growth mindset is the belief that abilities can be developed through dedication and hard work, rather than just being born that way. You'll recognize this across all top performing entrepreneurs, millionaires, multimillionaires, and billionaires, in that they have an insatiable curiosity. They're always learning. They're always trying to improve and get better because they know they can. Contrast this with a fixed mindset, which basically says, I am how I am, and I'm always gonna be that way. And a fixed mindset is not a key attribute of any top performer, anywhere. Having a growth mindset, having the belief that you can improve, and you will improve with dedication and hard work, well, this has been a turning point in my life, and it's one of the biggest reasons that I've dedicated the last many decades of my life learning and improving and constantly trying to get better at whatever it is that I'm doing. This is why still, to this day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, I still spend at least 1 hour every single day studying or learning some area of business or life or something that'll help me improve as a human and as a business owner. Usually this is business or marketing related content, but could also be health or personal development or video or YouTube or anything really. The point is to always be improving, always be growing, and knowing that having the dedication and having the hard work is going to inevitably pay off. The next common trait, characteristic, among the top performing entrepreneurs is that they're intentional about everything they do. Rarely, if ever, are you going to see a top performing entrepreneur running around frantic or panicked or wondering what's going on and looking like their whole world is burning down. Top performing entrepreneurs never seem lost or confused, and yet they're always moving forward, confidently, and progressing. Anytime I'm around top performing entrepreneurs, I always see that they're always intentional, even with their rest and relaxation, essentially prioritizing it, scheduling it, sticking to it, whatever that may look like for them. This is a habit I've tried very hard to adopt with myself, essentially being intentional with my downtime, making sure that I'm calendaring in those appropriate breaks so that I don't burn out. Above all, however, it means being intentional about the course of action that they're taking, which really comes down to the power of application. I get it. It can be fun to sit around and visualize and meditate and set goals and read all sorts of self-help books. Gives you a quick dopamine hit that makes you feel good for a second, but at the end of the day, doesn't accomplish pretty much anything. And while visualization and having a vision is definitely part of the process, we're going to talk about that in just a second, it is only part of it. And it can never be replaced with being intentional about the work that you actually have to do. Above all, being intentional just means, well, basically exactly what it sounds like. Having intention, planning, thinking, and doing things for a reason, rather than just reacting to everything that's going on around you. All right, so on the topic of vision, well, let's talk about it now, because all top performing entrepreneurs do have a vision for the business, for the life, and for the goals that they want to accomplish. The reality is that if you don't know where you're going, you're never going to get there. Even a rough idea is pretty much better than nothing, though of course, the more clear and the more crystallized you can make it, the better. You see, most people have goals. Actually, the average person doesn't have goals. Kind of just wanders through life, never doing much. Everything is fine. But you're not like that, or you wouldn't be here watching this now. Goals are important, for sure. But vision is kind of that guiding North Star, that area or direction that you keep trying to move forward towards, essentially year after year, for as long as you're alive. Vision is bigger than goals. It's something that encompasses identity and your real wants and your real needs and what you really want to accomplish. The most important element with vision is that it's bigger than you. It's bigger than goals. And it's a long-term vision and something that you're going to be working towards for a long time. It's something that'll allow you to enlist others and to get them excited about as well, because you're all going to be working for something bigger than just yourself. Top-performing entrepreneurs are unwilling to sacrifice their vision or to compromise it for short-term, quick hits of success. This means they're able to play the long game, and rather than sort of cashing out now or taking every penny they can out of the business, it allows them to reinvest in their marketing and in their people and in their business development and in their customers and clients, which inevitably enables them to win. All right, the next point that pretty much all top-performing entrepreneurs have in common is a little bit painful for me to talk about because it's something I struggle with pretty much every single day, and that is perfectionism. The antidote or solution to this I've found is understanding that perfectionism stops progress. And if you want to progress, yeah, that's the word. If you want to progress, you're going to need to kick perfectionism right in the face. Essentially, over the years, I've learned that perfectionism is just a really useful procrastination tool that enables me to not publish anything, not record videos, not upload them, just pretty much not do anything because it's not perfect. The reality is perfectionism doesn't exist. Things can always be better. You're just going to have to accept that. Rather, it's much more important to focus on progress, making micro and sometimes almost invisible improvements, but you know they're there, getting better every day, every week, every month, and every year. There's a number of sayings that can help you get over this hurdle, like 80% is good enough, or done is better than perfect. So just find the one that works best for you, and then publish or promote or do what you got to do. All right, so the next point that all top performing entrepreneurs have in common is something that nobody likes to hear, and that is they all work hard. Really, really hard. Like really hard. Like probably way harder than you think they're working. Now here's the deal. First of all, this doesn't have to be a forever thing. In fact, it probably shouldn't be, or you're going to end up sacrificing your health and your relationships, maybe even your sanity along the way. Second, this is a largely subjective quality, talking about working hard. To some, this could be a 40-hour work week. To some, it could be an 80-hour work week. To some, it could be a 120-hour work week. To some, it could be a 4-hour work week. I mean, really, again, it's going to come down to you and just how hard you think you're actually working. All that said, pretty much none of them are working less than 40 hours a week, without fail. But more importantly than the time that they're putting into the business is the quality of the time that they're putting in. Minimizing distractions, putting their phone on airplane mode, or putting it away completely, and essentially really focusing in on the single most important tasks that are going to drive the business forward. Now, I'm not trying to go out there and promote hustle culture and saying you need to sacrifice everything just to get ahead. I did that in my early years, working 7 days a week, 16 hours a day. I did it for years, and I paid the price for it, both in my health and my sanity and my relationships. So I wouldn't suggest it to you either. But it did teach me a whole lot of stuff, and it enabled me to essentially put rocket fuel on my success. So again, you're gonna have to find what works for you. Just know that when you look at top performing entrepreneurs, they all work really, really hard. So if you want to join those ranks, you're gonna need to do the same, whatever that looks like for you. The next thing all top performing entrepreneurs have in common is that they walk the walk. Essentially, the words that they say match the actions that they're doing, or vice versa. The actions that they're doing match the words they say. I guess it works both ways. Essentially, when they say they're going to do something, they do it. And the actions that they do match the identity and match the goals and match the vision that they have. In other words, they don't say that they want to build a global empire and then work 4 hours a week and take weekends off and sleep in and do nothing. Rather, they're up early, they stay late, they work really hard, and they make sacrifices. What this enables them to do is to build confidence, most importantly, with themselves, because they're doing what they say they're going to do, and they're keeping their word to themselves, which again, allows them to build confidence, which enables them to go out there and attack. Now, I'm not saying that everybody wants to go out there and build a global empire, but it is important to understand that your actions must match your goals and your vision. For example, you can't say that you want to retire early and then spend all your money. Or you can't say you want to get in shape and then spend every night at McDonald's, unless you work there. Then you should probably show up to work. And you can't say that you want to be the best in your field or the best in your industry and then not spend a considerable amount of time on studying and learning and applying everything that you're learning. Top performing entrepreneurs, well, their actions match their words and their actions match their vision. Again, this builds confidence and is incredibly important for their success. So moving right along, the next thing all top performing entrepreneurs do is that they're quick to delegate. They understand that nobody is good at everything, not to mention nobody likes everything. So they focus in on their area of genius and they delegate or delete, or essentially just get rid of everything that they're not good at or they just don't want to do. The reality is that to truly become successful, you don't need to be good at everything. In fact, you probably shouldn't. Rather, you should focus in on your own unique zone of genius. Ooh, that was tricky to say. Your own unique zone of genius. Essentially, the areas that you have unique skills and unique experience and an aptitude and an interest in that others may not have. That's what makes this world such an amazing place. Not everybody wants to do all of the same things. Otherwise, we'd all be pilots, or we'd all be doctors, or we'd all be lawyers, or we'd all be marketers, and that's simply not the case. The reality is that the things that you hate doing, the things that you may not be very good at, somebody else loves doing, and they're really good at it. So take time to identify these things in yourself and in your business, and then quickly get them off your plate. You can thank me later. All right, this next point's important. Really important. In fact, it may be the number one thing that I learned after nearly a decade of working for a number of different billionaires and their families, and that is to prioritize time above all else. You see, one of the things that top entrepreneurs know that others maybe half know, half appreciate, well, it's that time is infinitely more valuable than money. You can always get more money, you can never get more time. Plus, when you start joining the ranks of the truly successful top entrepreneurs, well, your time becomes incredibly valuable. And this is why you need to guard it at all costs. My billionaire mentors would always prioritize saving time. If anything would save them any amount of time, they would prioritize it, no matter what the cost. I remember when I was first introduced to this concept, and it just blew my mind how somebody would be willing to spend hundreds, or thousands, or tens of thousands, or even hundreds of thousands of dollars just to save a few hours. Until I did the math and I realized just how much their time was worth, and it all started to make a little more sense. Now, I'm not saying you need to spend $100,000 just to save an hour, but you do need to find areas where you're wasting time unnecessarily and what you can do to fix that. To put this in perspective, once in a while you'll hear about a restaurant that's offering a free bucket of chicken or a free burger coupon or something that's worth about $5. Inevitably, there'll be a lineup of people down the street, waiting hours to get this free $5 bucket of chicken or free $5 burger. If you do the math, say they're waiting 2 hours, well, that's essentially like paying themselves $2.50 an hour just to get a bucket of chicken. And yet, this happens all the time. But you know where it never happens? Among top performing entrepreneurs. Because that is crazy. And that's coming from a guy who really likes chicken. So be ruthless with your time management. Be ruthless with time wasters and time-sucking activities that take you away from your vision and from your goals and from what you're truly trying to accomplish. Remember, you can always make more money. You can never get this time back. And that leads us to the final point, the final characteristic that all top performing entrepreneurs have in common. And that is that they all understand and prioritize marketing. You see, marketing is the single most important element to your business's success because it's marketing's job to bring in new leads and more customers and more revenue for your business. And without those things, you don't really have a business. This is why the next thing you're going to want to do is check out the video I have linked up right here on Introduction to Marketing. So make sure to check that out now, and I'll see you in the episode. Because whether you have a business or not, marketing happens pretty much every day.